respectful questions, what they're doing, what their organization is doing, anything that you might have in that arena. And perhaps, Nancy, could you perhaps run the mic? So just, yes, there we go, our lovely lady in purple has a question.
Thank you all for all you're doing. It's wonderful. But my question is to how you think, what love is in your thought toward a stranger or an enemy. I'd like to hear that.
Great question. Thank you so much. And who would like to begin? Yes, Lisa.
So, from a biblical perspective, in the Old Testament, it's very important to treat your neighbors with respect and dignity, and to treat the stranger with hospitality. And I think that is still how Judaism thinks about it, and that's part of the reason why we have the system of social services and social justice that we have. And I think that is part of the way we express love for the world and love for other human beings. And that's just my personal.
And she also asked about, someone who is a perceived enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay. So, so I didn't talk about Israel, and I didn't talk about Israel for any reason. I didn't talk about it on purpose. I just accidentally left it out. About 10% of our funds go to support social service needs in Israel. And that's obviously, we Jews, we can point to lots of different enemies around the world. I think we try to bring people over to that understanding is very important to us, and dialogue is very important to us. But I think Jewish history has taught us that sometimes understanding isn't enough. And that's not in the Bible. That's just life experience, or the experience of a community that has been persecuted in many places it's been, outside of the state of Israel and outside of the United States, or even inside of the United States, because incidences of anti-Semitism in the United States are at a pretty high level right now. Even this past week, we've had a number of cemeteries that were desecrated with swastikas, and we have had attempted shootings, people trying to get into synagogues with guns. So, we deal with it every day. In terms of Israel and dealing with the Israel-Palestinian crisis, that's for the government of Israel to do. That's a political problem, not a religious problem. And I think it's important to remember that, because I think if it was a religious problem, we could work it out. But I think there's just too much there. And there's no easy answers for that.
So I think that how my faith views strangers and enemies is just our overall concept of human beings is that our bodies were created by our parents, but all of our spirits, what gives life to our bodies, you might think of the image of a hand inside a glove, that the glove lays inanimate unless the hand's in it. So we feel like our spirits were all created by God. So that each one of you are my brothers and sisters. And so when you come to one of our congregations, we refer to each other as brother so-and-so, sister so-and-so. So conceptually, we believe that we are all related, and as such, we should automatically love each other. I think we forget that a lot. I think it's hard to remember that in our daily lives. When someone who's menacing comes up to you, it's hard to remember, this person really is my brother. I need to treat that person with love. That's one of the challenges of our life. But according to Christ's teachings, we need to, pray for them that use us and hurt us. And so that really is the objective and the goal, to purely love other people and treat them that way. And as Lisa said, A lot of our social service programs are a result of really this understanding, this knowledge that we're all brothers and sisters and we should all be working together. What a different world we would have if we could all always see each other truly as brothers and sisters. And, you know, I have some friends that are, sometimes I have issues with, but I'll get glimpses of them and see them as God sees them, and it's a reminder to me, I need to be more patient, I need to be more kind, I need to help more. And I just think as we become more spiritual, we see that more in other people, and it's a lifelong journey. You know, whether they're strangers or enemies, just really treating people with love and respect. So.
Thank you, Jennifer. And absolutely true from our standpoint also that when you see another person, what you really are looking at is that essence of God, not the physical attributes or anything else, but you should recognize them for that. You should love your friend, but you should also love your enemy even more. Because if we are to establish any kind of unity in the world based on justice, we're going to have to overcome these differences. And so it's imperative upon us to really reach out and cross this barrier. The Baha'is have been very persecuted ever since the beginning in Iran in the mid-1800s. And we have a number of Baha'is in prisons in Iran now. There was an American, a journalist, Roxanne Sabari, that was taken in because they felt that she was writing things that were not advantageous to the clergy of Iran. And she was in prison. She was in the prison cell with some of the Baha'i women. And when she came back out, she held a number of press conferences, and she talked about what these Baha'is that are in prison have actually done, because they have really changed the atmosphere within the whole prisons in which they are incarcerated, by virtue of the fact that they have been so loving that their guards, they let them go out in the day to do service in the community, and they always come back to their cell at night. They can't believe it. Nobody else does. Why are you doing that? But they say that, you know, their political prisoners are religious prisoners, really, because they're only there because the Baha'is have violated no other things, but they have used that saying within the Baha'i faith of how they need to reach out and love their enemies, and it has had an effect, so it does work.
Another question? Any other questions? Yes, right here. Thank you.
I have a question for Ernie, because you said that with the young people, you teach them to be spiritual, not religious. So what are you teaching them to make them spiritual that is not a religious kind of thing? I'm just curious.
You know, when we think about the, if you will, the attributes or the virtues of our Creator, you know, love, honesty, everything that we think of those things that we would, you know, in those areas are actually spiritual essences, not the dogma or are going through the things that maybe have ended up, we as humans have piled on our religions to say, well, this is the way things are. Those are not divine, and those are not spiritual in nature, but within every religion of the world, there is, at least we know from the Arizona Interfaith, within, what do we have, 25 members now. Some of them you would be surprised that you would even think that they were a religion, but they are spiritual, and they are very much involved in the promotion of these spiritual attributes. And so that's what we're talking about when we say not religious but spiritual. Does that answer your question? No.
What makes you spiritual even if you aren't religious? What can you teach someone to make them spiritual?
We have, in most of the cases, and I've sat in on a few of these myself, where the kids will be, and we have a lot of them from the barrios and neighborhoods where their next step probably is a gang member. And I'll give you an example of one not too long ago where a facilitator said, okay, you were going down the street, somebody came by and shot your best friend. What would you do? Well, their immediate response is, I'd kill him. And so then the facilitator began to talk to them about how you can resolve that conflict in other ways without resorting to violence. And so then the kids would have to deal with, grapple with trying to get around how could that other thing work. So it takes a lot of time for them to internalize that, but it puts them on a path that they'll start thinking about these spiritual solutions to problems, not the resolution that we currently have as being, if you watch TV, if you talk to your friends, what they say in the streets, what the gang members are telling them. So it starts them on a path then, and they respond very well to it.
Can I add something? I just wanted to add the idea into the conversation that yes, Judaism is a religion, but it is also an ethnicity. And to try to, sum up what Judaism says about anything, just like doing it with, I'm sure, any religion, is very difficult because within Judaism we have, 5 different denominational movements at least, and all of those people believe different things. So for me to say to you, this is what Judaism believes, this is what my Judaism believes, and this is what my Jewish ethnicity believes, but I'm in no way speaking for the Jewish people as a whole. So, yeah, just wanted to add that.
I just want to make a comment on the question.
Who has the mic? Let's just get the mic for you. Thank you.
Just wanted comments on what Mr. Bruss was talking about in your question. The material that are being shared at the group level in Junior Young Spiritual Empowerment Program is inspired from the Baha'i writing. And this inspiration really comes about how this junior group, my wife and I are junior youth coordinator, animator as an adult role. So we have gone to junior youth, we have helped the junior youth, but not at the front level, but on the back. So we talk to the parents, what have you noticed? What have you noticed in your junior year that come into the group every Tuesday at 4:30 p.m.? And they're talking about exactly what you talking. There have been some changes. The group is really composed of junior youth who come from diverse background, from religious, ethnicity, and so forth, and they come together to see how they can communicate, how can they get along, how they can serve the neighborhood. So again, that is not attached to any particular religious affiliation. It's about service, which is a magnet, and that is really what when you say not teaching religion, but you're teaching the spirituality. I think the dominant passion of the soul is a spirituality. The dominant passion of a soul, all of our soul, is a spirituality. Ones need to know how to love. Ones need to love knowing.
Let me add to it.
We're staying with questions right now, so is there a question? Okay.
No, I'm going to answer her question to satisfy her.
It was from the Baha'i perspective, particularly,
Right.
so.
I'm not indifferent
Okay.
from any.
I'm going to address to you. You have asked that how you become spiritual. Is there teachings that teach you?
No, I asked, how do they teach young children to be spiritual, independent of religion?
Right.
That's what I asked.
Okay.
It's different than,
Exactly.
so
Okay.
I understand service can
Right.
lead you to.
But there is more to it. Okay, to teach them spirituality, to get to understand and then follow it. That the spirituality is the main source is your heart. That's your soul in your heart. That you purify your heart. And then when you purify your heart, then all these things fall in perspective. That love comes in first, then tranquility, love, peace. Everything falls into love, and there is a mantra for every religion, to every faith, every faithful, that they chant that mantra that purifies the heart. As soon as you purify the heart, then the love falls in place. So that mantra, for every faith has their own mantra, and you can follow that, and then you become the spiritual guide. You teach them, and they automatically will attract to them. It does not look at you, where you're going from, what is your religion, what is your faith. It all spirituality above and beyond their religions. So I hope that I somewhat able to answer your question on.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know that your question was particularly from the Baha'i faith, trying to understand how is it coming from a place of spirituality and not religion. And I don't know that we exactly 100% answered your question. So I invite you to talk to Ernie or another member of Baha'i faith to help understand that. And I know that Lisa had a question, so let's go back to that.
I wrote a little note to Jennifer when she was talking. I was like, you didn't talk about tithing, and the Mormon Church is, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is, I would say, the envy of many other religious communities in terms of what they have accomplished and the way tithing is perceived and carried out in the Mormon community. So I was hoping you would talk a little bit about that and the impact that can make on your community.
So for us, we look at tithing as a blessing. So we look at it, and this is how I would teach my children, that God has given us everything we have. So us returning 10% to Him, so that's what a tithe is, 10% is, we're still coming out ahead because He gave us everything we have. And it's really a matter of consecration and faith. And so when you have faith in tithing or faith in God, and the way we teach people that are struggling, like, I don't know if I could do that, is to try it. Try it and see what happens. And so just about anyone you talk to who is a full tithe payer and a faithful member of our church will tell you that they feel like tithing has been a blessing in their life. And that's how my husband and I feel, that we get so much back from doing that. It's something that's almost rote to us now because we've been paid tithing for so long. But we feel like we have so many blessings in our life, and I think the act of doing that helps open our eyes to the things that God has blessed us with. And not just the intangibles like healthy children and a happy life, but tangibly we can see financially, it doesn't really make sense that we're donating this money and yet things are running smoothly financially. But that's what happens when you pay tithing. So that's from like a personal level. Organizationally, it goes to support churches, temple building, all of that. Every building we own, none of them are mortgaged. They're all paid for in full before they're constructed. And so that's a great blessing. And we don't just pay tithing, we pay other offerings. So when we were talking about the welfare service earlier, that is funded through, we refer to them as fast offerings. So once a month, we go without food or drink for a period of 24 hours, and we donate to the church the money we would have spent on that food. And that's what funds the welfare operations. And then in addition to that, we don't donate by putting money in a tray or something as it comes along. we fill out a slip of paper and put it in an envelope and give it to our bishop, and then it goes wherever, it's deposited. But there are other aspects we can donate to. We can donate to missionary work, because when you send a child on mission, it's $400 a month. Well, I can afford $400 a month, but maybe someone in Bolivia sending their child on a mission can't. So there's a worldwide mission fund that goes to financially support those who want to serve, who aren't able to pay that amount of money. And then there are humanitarian funds, disaster relief funds that you can donate to. And I just can say that I feel, even as an accountant, even though the math doesn't always work, I feel like it has been such a blessing in my life to pay tithing. And it blesses lots of lives, because it increases your faith, but it also helps move forward God's work. And so that's how we view it, and that's why faithful members are willing to pay it, because we can see the benefits and the blessings.
Thank you. Thanks for that. David.
Coattail the question over here actually for the tithing. Is that a religious requirement or a spiritual? How do you teach your young people that this is a blessing, in other words?
Well, so it is a religious requirement, so it's probably going a little deeper than most of you want to go, but in order to, so we worship on Sundays, we go to a regular meeting house, a chapel, and then to worship in a temple, you have to meet certain religious requirements that show that you are faithful and worthy, and one of them is being a full tithe payer. And so what we do is the children from a very young age are in an organization, we call it primary, but it's like a Sunday school kind of organization, where they're taught lessons about tithing. They're taught from the Old Testament the principle of tithing. And they learn little songs, every, I can't even remember anymore, but like every dollar you give a dime, every dime is a penny. There's a little rhyme that goes with it, but they're taught the concept of it. And then as parents, we encourage them to do that, and we show them that we're doing that. And then once a year, we meet with our bishop, and he asks us, are you full tithe payers? And he asks each of the children too. And so it's a very personal thing. The concept is you tithe on your increase. It's very personal as to whether you tithe on your gross, your net, someone gives you a gift. So we let the children, we sort of teach them how we think they should do it, but we let them make that decision. If someone's given them a gift of money and they want to donate 10% of it, if they've earned money babysitting, we encourage them to do that. And honestly, we have not met with any resistance from our kids in doing that. We've just taught them that we've been blessed in our life, and we know it's something they should do. It might be more difficult for them. I think the difficult time is going from your childhood earnings to a real job, when you go, oh, that is a lot of money. But my peers, when I first started working, we were all making about the same amount of money, and I never felt poorer for them for paying tithing. In fact, once I told my boss, you should give me even more money, because I'm tithing. I need that. But I never felt like I was at a deficit because I was paying tithing compared to people that were in the same profession or anything.
Thank you.
I don't know if that.
Thanks, Lisa. That's wonderful. And I know that you probably have other questions that you would like to ask, and I invite you to stick around and ask those afterwards, because I know Dr. Paul is looking at his watch, which means I have to hand the mic back to him. I get those looks. And I have that intuitive knowing that he's like, I want to share something. Dr. Paul is going to share about what we're doing with our next Faith Forum in March, because he's getting the speakers for that one. And he also has some important announcements. Before we hand the mic over to him, I want us to give a really warm welcome to all of our panelists. And thank you. Thank you. I can say good afternoon now. Should we all say good afternoon? Good afternoon. Yes. So if you would allow us right after Dr. Paul finishes speaking, a moment to just take a picture, then please come up, greet our panelists, and give them a rousing thank you in person for giving of their time to be with us. Thank you again.
time allowed, would you allow just 1 minute?
Dr. Paul is now.
30 seconds, 30 seconds, that's right.
Could I go ahead?
Go, and I'll cut you off in 30 seconds.
Thank you. This is Hare Krishna point of view about God is love. How you exhibit your love. You exhibit your love. Oh, thank you, thank you. My name is Dr. P. Mishra. God is love. Hare Krishna, we want you that you love, show by protecting your people, by protecting animals. There is a very famous quote in this by Mahatma Gandhi, and it says that greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. Picture is better than 1,000 words. Here's the picture. Our God is Krishna. His love is Radha. And he tends cow in childhood. So protection of cow, that means not eating meat, allowing cows to die its natural death, is the way we express our love to animal and mankind. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. No, I think all of you did all of you one of these things. Along with just a couple of things very quickly. One is the Golden Rule Banquet. It's the copper salmon there in front of you. April the 16th, a marvelous, marvelous event. On the back of that page is how you can make arrangements to get tickets for the Golden Rule Banquet. And I want to invite all of you personally to be part of that banquet on April the 16th. Now at the bottom of the page, on the back page, is a special announcement, and you've got 30 seconds.
Oh, I do? Okay.
Take your time.
Well, thanks. What he's referring to, there's a picture of a CD. Oh, no, that's okay. Thank you. And the CD is available up here, and it's a brand new addition to the AGREE program, which is the curriculum for schools that's tied to the course standards for Arizona in different subjects. And it brings a golden rule lesson in that for all grade levels. And the music goes along with some of the curriculum. There are 12 songs on there, and we're asking $5 to cover the cost of the CD. And I think I love it. I sing along with it in the car. So I think it's for big kids as well as our children. So thanks.
$5.
Yes.
At the front here. Okay, any of you that want to get one of those CDs, go right ahead. There's other mentioned up here, there's calendars and things we've had. Let me make an announcement about next month's Faith Forum on March 17th. And the topic is going to be the Parliament of the World's Religions. That's an organization, a program started about 125 years ago at the Chicago World's Fair. And I'll be telling you more about it next month. But it meets every 5 years. They picked it up 100 years after 1893, the Chicago World's Fair, and started it again in 1993. Then it met in Melbourne, in Cape Town, South Africa, then in Barcelona, Spain, and they invited Arizona Interfaith to come and make a special presentation there, about 8,000 people there. And then 5 years ago, it was in Melbourne, Australia, and about 14 or 15 of us went there, again invited to make a presentation. This year, friends, it's in Salt Lake City. This year, October the 15th through the 19th. We'll be talking about it next month, but we're expecting to have 10,000 people there. And there are people from all over the world, from faiths you've never even heard of. It's an amazing thing. So I invite you to come, because we're going to be making a presentation, having some of the people who went to Melbourne give a report about what happened 5 years ago, and then telling you how we all can be part of that event in October in Salt Lake City. So, invite you to come next month. But again, let's say thank you for all of our panel members.